I'm Dave Baker.
And I'm Andrew Price.
Welcome to Deep Cuts, the podcast where we pick a topic and walk you through the ins, the outs, and the nitty-gritty so you can appear like an interesting and idiosyncratic person at your next forced social function. Today's topic is...
the Breatharians.
Who are the Breatharians, and why do they sound like the villains in an 80s barbarian cartoon? Because they kind of could be. While it's universally acknowledged truth that humans require food to live, there is a very curious subset of individuals who are convinced they've evolved beyond such mundane necessities. They call themselves Breatharians. These mystic pioneers are of the belief that humanity can sidestep the rigmarole of 3 meals a day and instead draw sustenance directly from the universe. They contend that we don't need so much as a cracker, that just the energy of the universe can fill all things. And there's maybe none better to lead us toward this visionary future of culinary abstinence than, and using the heaviest of air quotes here, the most accomplished advocates of the Breatharian lifestyle, Jasmuheen and Wiley Brooks.
Act 1. The Universal Buffet. Jasmuheen, born Ellen Grieve, is a woman who declares with absolute sincerity that she has lived on little more than sunlight and pranic energy for decades. Prana, as she explains, is an ancient Sanskrit word meaning life force, or in more practical terms, an excuse for not doing the weekly grocery shop. And we got Jasmuheen.
Jasmuheen looks like your rich aunt who married someone just for the money.
Jasmuheen looks like Ed McMahon's 10th ex-wife.
Jasmuheen looks like the type of woman who says, little girls should be seen and not heard. Jasmuheen looks like the type of woman who at one point organized retreats for her friends, and those retreats may or may not have involved some sort of like money exchanging hands and bodily fluids exchanging hands. Jasmuheen is the Ghislaine Maxwell of Beverly Hills. I mean, Ghislaine Maxwell might be the Ghislaine Maxwell.
She's the Ghislaine Maxwell of Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
She's like best choice Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, we have
Kirkland brand.
We have Ghislaine Maxwell at home. Yeah.
She came to what you would describe as international fame or infamy or global con artist status as a Breatharian after publishing her book, Living on Light. In the book, she reveals the secret of her diet. Breathe deeply, love fully, and for heaven's sake, avoid going on television where you actually have to prove you are doing what you say you're capable of doing. And this is the book cover for Living on Light, written by Jasmuheen.
She's like, so it's a gray cover with orange text on it that says Living on Light, the source of nourishment for the new millennium. And in the bottom right corner, she's standing there with a orange like light burst behind her, and she's making like kind of a kung fu gesture. Like, what is that? Yeah. What is that hand gesture? That's so weird. But it's like casual though.
She's a big Ultraman fan.
Yeah, she's like doing the Ultraman like hand gesture, but then relaxing and regretting it. It's like she was at a convention where everybody was posing as with Ultraman cosplayers.
She lost
started
confidence.
Doing it and
She's
then was like, oh no.
No, I feel weird. I feel exposed. Yeah. Nobody else is doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this also just has like, this book cover just has like the aesthetic of like a shitty like preschool phonics book.
Totally, 100%. Yes.
Wiley Brooks, meanwhile, took a rather different approach. He claimed that not only could he sustain himself on air, but that anyone who questioned his cosmic credentials should look no further than his special allowance of, yes, cheeseburgers and Diet Cokes. Sorry, not cheeseburger, specifically double quarter pounder with cheeses. In an interview with Vice that Brooks claimed to be giving from the fifth dimension, when asked why he ate those foods despite claiming that he could survive on only light and air, he answered,
I am living on light and air, but I wouldn't be on this planet and you wouldn't be able to talk to me if I didn't keep my energy within the energy of you. And since you do eat, and since it's you I came to help, you and the other people, I have to be visible so I can deal with you.
Isn't that just all people though? Like, isn't that just true of all people? That you have to eat in order to like be in this corporeal plane, and if you don't eat, then you die and like become like energy?
Yeah.
Doesn't that just mean that you do have to eat though?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It's almost like he's a con man.
Yeah, it's like the most roundabout way of trying to make something out of nothing. I can survive only on light and air. That's the only energy that a person needs to be alive. It's like, yeah, but you eat cheeseburgers. It's like, yeah, I mean, obviously if I don't eat cheeseburgers, I'll die.
I love that. I love it so much. And I love the like, well, I'm from the fifth dimension.
Yeah,
I'm from the fifth dimension, bro.
That's so funny. It's like, I don't even know if I should be saying this on the show, but remember when we were doing interviews for the Illuminati game, and one of the artists, we did an interview with him, and like he joined the Zoom call and he had like a flashlight. Like we were doing the Illuminati episode of that card game and we interviewed a bunch of people for it, including the creator of the game. And we were interviewing one of the artists that worked on the game. And when he joined the Zoom, because the whole episode was about like conspiracy theories and weird kind of like cultic bullshit. And so he joined the call and he had like a flashlight where he was shining it underneath him and he was in the dark. So he was creating this like up light, like sort of like spooky ghost story vibe. And the Zoom call came on and you could tell that he intended to like go into a bit where he was going to be like, I am of the shadowy cabal. But the moment he saw us, he just immediately lost all confidence and was just like, hello, hey guys. And he like put this flashlight down and turned his light on. Like he immediately lost confidence. This Wiley Brooks did that when he interviewed with Vice, but he committed to the bit.
Yeah. He fully committed to the bit.
He was like, hello, Vice. Oh, look, a fractal. I'm in the fifth dimension.
But also, I gotta eat my yummy cheeseburger.
That's just like an animated GIF of like a triangle behind you.
But I love a cheeseburger.
It's like you're eating a cheeseburger right now.
No, not
Not only is that just like weird, like you're like going out of your way. Like normally people don't eat during interviews. Yeah. Like you're going out of your way to eat that burger in front of us. Fifth dimension. Also, we got Wiley Brooks here.
Wiley Brooks looks like late period when he was obviously sick Tony Todd. Am I wrong? Am I fucking wrong?
It was just so immediately dark.
Look at the guy.
This guy looks like, are supposed to be these like funny, like riffing on people's physical appearance of like, oh, he looks like he's a fucking kindergarten teacher who got lost in the ocean or something like that. And it's like, he looks like he's riddled with cancer.
I mean, look at the guy. He looks like unwell Tony Todd.
He reminds me of a dearly beloved icon that just died like 3 days ago.
Or maybe 3 months ago, depending on when you're listening.
But I'm in the fifth
dimension.
Yeah, there's nothing else to say after he looks like a sick, dying Tony Todd.
He does.
It's Con Man 101, the double standard of it doesn't work because you don't believe it works. We've talked about this concept on the show before. Brooks, Uri Geller, Jazz Muheen, they exist because it works. Not whatever they're preaching, but the con itself works. Again and again, disappointingly ad nauseum as people continue to throw money and faith at these snake oil salesmen.
Healthy, self-regenerating, comes from a limitless source of love, of pure prana.
So this is Jazz Muheen. This is her like new age meditation.
Through me now.
I don't even know.
Fuck yeah.
As I walk through this world, with every breath.
Can you imagine being high and watching this?
From the inner
I mean, this is low key a banger.
And
yeah.
Radiate it out through my being, so that my presence.
I would just listen to this.
We've talked about this before, but like weird CG digital art for new agey alien-y stuff, It freaks me out. Like this is genuinely scary to me.
Practice with this intention. Deep.
I mean, the reason why you're scared is because you just know deep down in your heart that if you went too far to the edge, you get pulled down and you would transcend into the fifth dimension.
It's like a slinky made of fifth dimensions.
Stream.
Inhale a limitless source of pure love, pure prana from the inner realm.
Particles from the inner planes. imagining it nourishing you perfectly.
The truth is out there.
As you then exhale it out through your body to fill every cell,
Nah, dude.
then out into this world.
Like a whale eating plankton.
So not into it, dude. That's like genuinely scary to me. That's like genuinely scary to me.
I feel the opposite. Like, I feel like the vibe is immaculate. Like, you know, we do these episodes about like grifters and weird like new age people and people like, you know, who claim bullshit about like being possessed by an otherworldly being or whatever, but like they're not good at video editing. Like that was like the aesthetic of that was like solid.
It was.
Like Jasmuheen knows what she's doing.
Yeah, she hired a really great intern.
This is the place where we stop and talk about like, where do you get the idea of you can eat by breathing?
Like as a person, like you just wake up one morning and you're like, man, I wish I didn't have to breathe. Or I wish I didn't have to eat. I wish I could just live on my breath. And then you're like, I think I could like swindle money out of people if I do this.
I mean, is it that? Cause like the thing you just said is like, you know, I think a typical like arc of like a grifter or cult leader or whatever is like, it's part like power fantasy where you start to fantasize about being able to do something and then you are like, well, I can't do that in real life, but I can trick a bunch of people into thinking that we can do that and then I can make like money and gain power off of it. But it's usually like things that are relatively more like, for lack of a better term, like mainstream, like, oh, there's going to be a race war and we have to like hide and protect ourselves from the fucking
fallout that's coming. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like, oh, you know, there's a aliens are going to come in and invade and they're going to be like, you know, on this comet and you know, they want to take us with them. And so if we, you know, die as the comet flies by, we get to, our spirits get to go with them or whatever.
But that's not the actual logic though, right? Those are the stories that people tell to convince others. And the inborn logic is like the Hail Bob stuff is just like, I don't want to be gay. Maybe I can just convince enough people to be around me and validate me.
But what is the motivation behind you can eat by breathing?
I mean, I think it's the same thing. It's that same root emotion of I want to feel powerful. I want to have control over my own destiny and mastery over my physical form. And then it manifests in this weird thing of like all cultures have issues around food and all, especially here in the West, we'd like, you ate 4.21 calories in your fucking Mountain Dew Baja Blast, whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
Dave, 0 + 0 + 0 + 0 + 0 + 0 = 0.
Right. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, it's that like we have issues around food here in the West. And also there's this strange ass like exoticism thing that happens with like every one of these cults where it's just like vaguely Eastern, vaguely Indian sounding stuff. And then you can, you know, project yourself as some sort of spiritual authority. And this is two birds with one stone, right? This is you get to have mastery over your physical form, but also your soul is growing because of the energy you're siphoning from the universe, right? So you're evolving as a person and you're not having to eat double cheeseburgers or whatever.
But just think about, I mean, other than that, which is hilarious, but just imagine like Jasmuheen. Like, just imagine the life of her where she's going out, she's doing these seminars, she's going on television, she's making these videos, she's telling people that you can gain sustenance and nutrition through breathing, and then she's like going off and like hiding in a little room and like
eating. Isn't that so funny?
What a life.
So weird.
What a life.
So weird.
And like nobody can see me eating.
Yeah.
It's like a weird gamified version of anorexia.
Yeah.
Where it's like the same exact thing.
But even Wiley Brooks is literally just like, I don't eat. We saw you eating a double cheeseburger. Well, yeah, I got to. But like, I don't eat. I just pretend. I just like pretend to eat.
Yeah, like fucking Amethyst from Steven Universe. She doesn't have to eat, but like she just does it for fun.
Yeah,
that's his angle.
Yeah,
it's like I don't have to eat, which I mean to a certain degree is like kind of true. Like the closest I would get to a breatharian is for quite a while there. 2014 2015 through maybe like 2017, I got really into Soylent.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Because basically, I mean, the original like sales pitch of Soylent was that an engineer invented it, and it was like the whole thing was like, I don't want to have to like eat. I want my body to be an efficient machine to like just work and never have to stop. So I invented this thing that you just drink it and it gives you all the nutrients you want, and then you can just keep grinding. And that was appealing to me. The idea that I wouldn't have to. I mean, I like food. I'm not like, it's funny because I'm not like you. Like, I like eating food and I like the concept of food, but I also I like the idea of not having to be like hindered by that physical limitation and be able to just keep pushing through more than I like food.
Hear me out. Have you ever considered just living off the pranic universe? You know, you're just siphoning the energy and into your soul. Because I'm just saying, like, they make some pretty compelling points. You know, I can send you some documentaries if you want. Like, I haven't eaten in like 3 weeks.
I mean, I could be convinced, especially because, you know, I was just one step away from breatharianism, because I was like, you know, I became a Soylent subscriber, and if you don't know as a listener, Soylent was a product that, as I mentioned before, was created by this data engineer, and it was like, it started off as like he just wanted to make something where you didn't have to eat anymore and he could just keep working, and then he thought of productizing it and turning it into a business and selling it based on that concept. It was like a thing. It was like a niche product for like people who work in the tech industry.
Hustle, grind, set, baby.
And it's a meal replacement drink that contains all of the necessary vitamins and nutrients that you need to have to be the equivalent of a single meal. And you can technically just drink this stuff and just like never have to eat. I became a subscriber, and I did extensive research before I did this, because I'm not sitting here fucking around with like fundamentally altering my diet to only drink like little smoothies and just expect that, you know, I'll be okay. So I did a bunch of research. There was tons of people who had basically like lived on it for 3 months and like documented the effects and documented like, you know, what happened. And they went to the doctor and got regular blood work done and all this stuff. And I was convinced to sort of try it out after I read a couple of different like versions of that, where they were like, yeah, I exclusively ate Soylent for 3 months, and I got blood work weekly, and my blood work actually improved, you know, and you know, these weren't people who were like, you know, bullshitting. Like they were actually like critical of it. Like their ultimate like thesis was like, I won't do this, it's not for me. But they had like positive results from the experiment. So I became a subscriber and I started doing that. And I think for the first like 1-2 months, I was like all Soylent. And the thing is like, I mean, the first big thing is like, it doesn't matter if you're getting the right amount of nutrients. Like, you want solid food. Your body, it doesn't matter if you're getting those nutrients, your body wants solid food.
Do you say that meaning that like you like had like phantom chew syndrome? Like you were like you didn't feel well because you were not in the habit of chewing and having the ritual of that? Or do you mean that in terms of like you had this liquid diet, you did the liquid diet, and then at the end of it, it was just like a spray hose? You know what I mean? Like the exit experience was not positive.
No, I mean, neither one. I don't think it really affected my...
Oh, interesting. Okay.
My bowel movements dramatically. But what I'm saying is that even if technically you're getting all the necessary vitamins and nutrients and things that you need to like be the equivalent of eating, it's like dumping like a cup of water into an endless chasm. Like you come out of the experience, and even though you've like technically satiated yourself, you're just still hungry, because you're just like, I did not eat. I drank like a bottle of stuff. And you just have intense cravings for real food, which, I mean, and I read about that, and everybody was like, yeah, you push past that and eventually your body acclimates to it or whatever. So that was fine. But the bigger thing, and the reason why I eventually, after like a month or two, what I did was I switched to Soylent for breakfast and lunch, and then real food for dinner. And the main reason for that, and it was the reason why the inventor of Soylent did this, he switched to breakfast and lunch, real food for dinner. And a couple of people I read up on basically said like they settled on a hybrid diet was you don't realize what a main component of your social life eating is. Almost all of your relationships tend to
these motherfuckers don't have enough podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe if we were doing deep cuts at the time, I would have committed. But the thing is, it's like a lot of your social relationships all revolve around eating. You go out to dinner with friends, you have lunch with somebody, you make food together in the kitchen with somebody. A lot of your social life is just about eating. So whenever you just stop eating, it creates this isolation where you see all your friends being like, hey, you want to go out and grab lunch, or you want to go to Denny's tonight or whatever, and you're just like, you're either like, no, or you're like, yeah, I'll go, but like I'm just gonna sit there. Like it becomes this weird thing in your life, and eventually it's like, I just need to eat because I just want to hang out with my friends again and not have it be weird.
When you were on the liquid diet, did you eat and you were first doing Soylent, were you drinking smoothies and anything, or it was literally the only thing you were intaking other than your Mountain Dew Baja Blast Zero addiction?
Yeah, Soylent and like beverages.
And that's it. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
And at the time, I think it was maybe even just water. I think it was kind of on a pretty intense health kick at the time, and I just drank a ton of water. But yeah, what it was intended to do originally. It was supposed to be a complete replacement for food. They ended up, I think, because of just lack of interest. People just because there's only so many like hustle culture tech bros in the world. So I think they kind of hit a limit of their customer base with that sales pitch of like never eat again, work forever. So then they rebranded themselves to like it's a meal supplement where it's like, you can have this for lunch and then like, and then eat real food for dinner. They kind of rebranded it. And then in the last couple of years, the last like 3 or 4 years ago, they kind of did another rebrand where they're like, okay, we've hit the wall of like people who want to replace their meals with stuff. And then they changed it to being like a health smoothie basically, where.
And are they changing the actual makeup?
No,
of
it's
the
the
thing?
same
It's the
thing.
same thing.
They're just
marketing,
reframing what the
it.
product is. It started out as a meal replacement, then it became a meal supplement, then it just became like a protein smoothie essentially. And they started selling it in like Walmart and stuff. And it was supposed to be just like, here's like a nutritious smoothie drink that you can have.
It's definitely not people.
Yeah, because they ran out of customers that wanted to like not eat anymore, basically. Yeah. Like I don't think there's many people in the world that just want to stop eating. And yeah, that was the running joke or whatever, is like the product is called Soylent, and everyone was like, what a horrible name for a drink. It's like people were just going to associate it with that thing, and it's like technically in the book Soylent was the original product and it was just lentils and soy, and then Soylent Green was the thing with people, but
yeah,
but
also the name of the doctor is Frankenstein.
Yeah, it was a really nerdy person naming something and not thinking about what most people would assume.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I did that.
Shazam is the wizard. Yeah. Captain Marvel is Billy Batson's alter ego.
That I did. That's the closest I would get to a Breatharian. And let me just tell you, like, nah. Number one, because you just are always hungry, or you always feel hungry, even if you are technically like nutriented or whatever. Like I was surviving. I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel like I was starving, but I was hungry, And then also it's just a weird thing. I remember I was going to work one morning and a homeless person came up to me and they were like, hey, do you have any food? And I was like, I just have this bottle of Soylent. And they were like, no, thanks. Like that, and that sums it up pretty well. Like, yeah. People, when you tell somebody that you drink like a thing called Soylent as your food, they're just like, what? Like, it does not generate like good vibes from people.
Yeah, right.
In any proper examination of Breatharian beliefs, videos of Jasmuheen and Brooks proclaiming their philosophies are a must to watch. Jasmuheen's speaking voice, calm and ever so soothing, is the kind one associates with aromatherapy commercials. And a lot of what she and Brooks preach are the broad strokes of kindness. On the surface, it all seems sane until they drop some random bit about that energy that flows through the entire world is also sustainable, like for your body and life, and then it's a quick pivot to something rational, like smiling makes you feel good. You think that's true, but then it's another insane pivot until you're so far down the rabbit hole you can't remember what the life-sustaining sun even looks like. Then there's Brooks, speaking with an unshakable confidence that belies his modest stature. He's claimed at various times that he's an immortal from a higher dimension, that he could lift 1,200 pounds, and that he's existed for thousands of years. In that same interview with Vice, Brooks said he might be God with a capital G. He said, people don't know what God looks like and who he is. Why in the hell couldn't it be me?
And that's exactly what man has done. The body was created perfect. It needed nothing but the breath of life which comes from the creative source, God or universal intelligence or whatever name you want to put on it. In that state, man was perfect, and all that we have done to it is that we have taken it from that perfect state to a lower point of consciousness. And that is why our environments and everything that is in our lives are where they are, because of the quality of our blood.
Double cheeseburgers, they're the problem. But also, they're delicious.
You know what I mean?
Yes, that's right.
What if you live, forgive me, now this is a great city I'm going to mention.
Yes, I understand.
What if you live in Secaucus, New Jersey? You know, I mean...
It would be a problem.
Oh, what? Yeah.
I think it would. Now, maybe I'm not right. I shouldn't say that so directly because I'm not too sure about Secaucus. But I know there are a lot of industrial plants in Jersey, right?
Yes, sir.
And that would be a problem. And that is one of the major problems. But clearing up the problem does not happen by trying to do it from the outside. It must be done from the inside. Man's environment is the direct representation or the reflection of what man is himself. So actually to clear up our environment is necessary to clear up the blood of the people. You see, once a breatharian is probably more concerned with the air than a person who's eating it.
How many breatharians are there in this country, would you say?
I don't know of that many. I know of several people that have, for instance, there was a young lady who stopped eating when she was 9 years old and she didn't eat anything for 10 years. And there are other people that are at varying degrees of breatharianism, you see. So there's another thing that's...
I got to ask you this one on the air. Okay. You're asked it all the time.
Right.
We read that the hunger strikers in Belfast died.
Right.
You're living. What's the
right.
difference? What's the difference?
The difference is very important.
I eat cheeseburgers.
Yeah, cheeseburgers. Cheeseburgers.
And I get this in my lectures all the time, and people do not realize there is a big difference in a man's...
Is Jimmy Buffett around? Because this is a cheeseburger and I'm in paradise.
Because he's trying to improve his health. You see? That is the difference. Health is the thing here. Breatharianism just happens to be a word that seems to be new, but it's been around as long as man has been here. But man has a choice.
I really don't think it has.
Or not eating. I am not against eating, and one of the things I'd like to point out right away is I don't recommend fasting. Now I know everybody thinks they should run out and stop eating, and I don't recommend that, because that is not the way to do it. The body has to adjust gradually and retrace itself back to the original state of health, which was breatharianism.
That's the way I view it. I figure in 25 or 30 years I'll, make the adjustment to it. Do you ever... I guess you don't get hungry anymore.
No,
you walk on the streets and smell things being cooked. You
doesn't mean a thing, and I can tell you why. It's very simple. If we have an automobile, we have a gauge on it that says empty and full. If the automobile is full of gas, is there any need to put any more in it?
No.
So the meter says full. Same thing with me.
Your meter's full.
The appetite says one thing. That's right. The appetite says one thing. Your body is lacking energy to keep it balanced properly. Now, when you have satisfied that balance in your system by what other method you might use, the body has no appetite. So there's no reason to eat.
I don't have a lot
Yeah, okay, all right. All right, big guy. All right. All right.
It's a cult about anorexia. A couple things from that. Like, number one, it's really odd and interesting to take that rhetorical argument path for what breatharianism is or why you don't need to eat, to say that like human bodies were created perfectly by God to run on, the energy of the world, and we've like tainted them, and that's why we eat. Because it's like, if human bodies were perfect and like didn't require food, why would we have stomachs? And then like, why would we have like a mouth that chews things and has an esophagus? Like, it seems like our body is like pretty fundamentally built to eat. It's like, it seems like the main thing our body does, or like...
Also the fact that every other living being on the planet eats.
Yeah. But like, if our bodies are perfect and in a perfect state, they don't eat, then why is like half of our anatomy about eating? Yeah. It doesn't make any sense.
But you just gotta like, over time, like revert,
That's such a...
Can we agree though that his suit was cool?
Oh yeah, I mean he
looks great.
He's a cool guy.
He's a cool guy. I want to become a breatharian because he's got a great suit. I don't appreciate the vibes.
With that at
I don't
all.
appreciate the vibes of the interviewer talking down to him. He's a scholar. He knows what he's talking about. But also like maybe actually call him on some shit instead of just being like, so you like fucking
kind of trolling him a little bit. And the other thing is like, I think it's I think it's funny, the idea of like, oh, well, like it just seems like all of, in the way that like conspiracy theorists and cult leaders like come up with like rationalizations or justifications for like the inconsistencies or the contradictions of their beliefs. The ones that he chooses are just really funny. Like he's like, but you know, what about those people that like go on hunger strikes and die? And his answer is, well, it's about the intentionality. If you don't eat because you're trying to be healthy, or if you don't eat because you're protesting something, then it doesn't work and you die. You have to not eat so that you can be one with the universe. It's like just like the intentions you have somehow.
Yeah. You have to not eat so you can eat double cheeseburgers so you can be one with the universe.
Yeah, but don't fast.
Yeah, don't fast.
Fast is something else.
No. Fast food. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, speaking of fast food, do you have any unhealthy disposable commodities to talk about?
Yes. Mary Tyler Moorhawk. It's my book. I was gonna pivot to your book and just plug yours, but then I felt like that would be mean, so I'm not gonna do that. So now you look like the bad guy because you set me up in a mean way. Mary Tyler Moorhawk is my hybrid novel, graphic novel, published by Top Shelf, available wherever books are sold.
Like 2 episodes ago, you said you wished I was dead. Like,
yeah, because you were not being Spandrew. You're not being respectful to Spandrew. He was a good friend while you were dead. You just hate it that I'm cuter than you. That's all.
Just fucking tell us about your book.
It's called Mary Tyler Moorhawk, and you can get it wherever books are sold. Andrew, do you have anything that is a book that you made that you would like to promote?
You can get my book, Deadbolt, AI Private Eye, about a robot detective solving crimes in the future. It's got like a fun Raymond Chandler meets Philip K. Dick vibe to it, meets Blade Runner even. Just throw that in the gumbo. You can go to dapricerights.com and pick up that book. If you want to get some Deep Cuts merch, you can go to deepcutspod.com, and you can get shirts and hats and t-shirts and coffee mugs. And I said shirts twice, but fuck it, just get 2 shirts. I don't even care.
2 shirts.
Everybody needs 2 shirts. Deepcutspod.com. You can follow us on social media by going to Facebook and searching Deep Cuts Podcast. You can join our Facebook group by searching Deep Cuts Podcast Facebook group. We got a fun community in there that talks about the show and makes memes and other cool stuff. You can also join our Discord server by going to bit.ly.com/deepcutsdiscord. We also have a fun community in there that talks about the show, makes memes, plays games, other stuff. You can follow us on Instagram at Deep Cuts Pod. You can follow us on TikTok at Mystery Treehouse. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, Deep Cuts Podcast, and you can follow me on TikTok at Dead Boy Detective. Now, back to the show. Act 2. The Science of Breathing and Other Tall Tales. Breatharians claim that there is a higher form of energy, one so potent it can replace all earthly sustenance. They call it prana, or sometimes chi, or simply the universe's Wi-Fi. The theory is a glorious blend of pseudoscience, mysticism, and just a hint of wishful thinking. If calories are for mere mortals, then prana is the elite jet fuel of the spiritual world. Unfortunately, despite Breatharian promises, research consistently finds that people without food tend to experience side effects like extreme hunger, dizziness, and if left long enough, a decided lack of life. Also, Breatharians must just be hangry all the time.
All the time.
Like, you know, getting hangry is a vibe, but they're just like, you know how at some point in the MCU, like the Hulk just became like permanently the Hulk and he just stopped turning back into Bruce Banner?
Yeah, they were like, we don't want to deal with how narratively inconvenient this is.
Yeah, that's just Breatharians with being hangry.
That's my secret, Spandrew.
I'm always
angry. Yeah.
Like I can't even imagine. Like it's one thing to drink the Soylent, which is technically like nutrient filled, and so you are being like satiated. But like if I go for like a half a day without eating, I'm like freaking out.
I mean, I'm hungry right now.
Oh, 100%. But of course. All right. We're good for another.
I feel great.
We're good for another 4 hours.
This is great. I love this.
Enter Jasmuheen's experiments with her own survival claims. Once during a televised interview, she attempted to prove her Breatharian lifestyle by refraining from food and water under controlled observation. Unfortunately, things went south by day 4. Jasmuheen's complexion, previously rosy and celestial, had taken on the pallor of a long-expired potato. She cited urban pollution as the culprit, a slight oversight that hadn't figured into her cosmic diet plan. Man, like she actually tried. She tried to do it on Australian
60 Minutes. And like, I don't know why she agreed to it.
Yeah, I don't know, because it's like
you can't do it.
You know you can't not eat. You know that. Like we're supposed to think you can. Yeah. But you know that you can't, and you agreed. Yeah. Like that's we talked about this before on other things of like when
like James Heydrich or whatever.
Yeah, James Heydrich, or I think maybe you and Spandrew talked about this during the crossing over with.
Oh yeah, the fucking guy
Ed,
whatever
that
guy, the psychic guy,
spiritual medium guy.
Yeah.
The idea of like, why do these people like agree to do these televised things where they get debunked, and it's like that level of like
I can outwit them, I can outsmart them.
Buying your own bullshit and becoming so narcissistically cocksure that you just like you bypass the logic circuits that are like, you literally can't do this. Yeah. And then you just agree to it, and then you actually get on there and you're like, what the fuck have I done? Yeah. Like, I have to actually not eat for 4 days? I can't do that. And even though it's fucked up, and it's I don't like to see a human being suffering the effects of starvation, even if they're like a fucked up grifter person. It is kind of funny. The idea of our slowly getting hungrier and hungrier for 4 days and just being like, you doing all right in there, Jasmine? And she's like, yeah, the energy of the universe, it's flowing through me. Also,
it's the same.
Are you a giant Twinkie?
it's that same shit. It's the same shit that James Heydrich did, where he was like, I can't move this fucking pencil because the electromagnetic spheres that the lights are putting out.
It's the same exact thing coming up with some shitty.
Yeah.
And there was that other guy, the guy that would like bend spoons or whatever, and he went on the Tonight Show and he couldn't do it, and he's like, the vibe in here is wrong. Like, it's just, the spiritual conditions, like coming up with like bullshit excuses. The Australian news program then moved her to a mountainous area free of pollution and full of all that air jazz that they never shut up about. It was still nixed when the overseeing doctor became concerned Jasmuheen would keel over on TV. The experiment was quickly aborted, with the doctors present deciding that urban pollutants were only one of the many small risks when one chooses to forgo food indefinitely. Also, that's really funny that she's just like, I'm getting sick because of the pollutants. And they're like, all right, let's go out to the mountains then. Like, they just call their bluff immediately. They're like,
we got a backup cabin.
Yeah, they're like,
I don't know what voice that is, but we have a backup cabin.
Hello, Jasmuheen. We are the newscasters from this Australian TV show, and we are going to take you out to the mountains.
Have you seen our mountain cabin lifestyle magazine? It's called Good Eye. We're on a mountain.
But that's so funny that they immediately called her bluff. They were just like, they're like, oh, you thought we would just be like, oh, too bad then, time to end the show. It's like, no, we'll take you to the mountains.
And then they were like,
we'll spend the money, and then the budget.
And then the doctor is like, she might sue you. She might sue us? Well, yeah, she might get fucked up from not eating, and then she could technically sue you. Fuck it. Not worth it. Not worth it. Fuck it.
They're like, yeah, you're willing to call the bluff, but like, her bluff might literally be dying.
Yeah.
Like, we can't do this.
Yeah.
In fairness, Jasmuheen had admitted that the Breatharian lifestyle isn't for everyone. In one interview, she solemnly explains that only those who are truly enlightened, those who have mastered certain meditative practices, can survive without food. And if, say, 100% of Breatharian novices fail to achieve this level of enlightenment, well, it's not her fault they didn't do the proper breathing exercises. Jasmuheen also had plenty of food in her cabinets and fridge, which she claimed were for her husband, which if you were trying to expound the benefits of better living through air, it would make sense to start far away from your loved ones and home. That's really funny. Like, that's such an exaggerated version of like, couples with like differing dietary lifestyles. Like, whenever a person who eats meat, is married to a person who's a vegetarian or whatever. My wife and I happen to be vegetarians, both vegetarians, but like, she's dated people before that ate meat. And it's like the rigmarole that you have to go through of like coordinating that, where it's like, we have to have separate meals that are cooked, and when we go to restaurants, we have to make sure that they have like, vegetarian accommodations, but also they have meat and they're not like a vegetarian restaurant only or whatever. Like, this is like the extreme version of that, where it's like, we're just an odd couple. You know how they say opposites attract? I am a normal person who eats food, and I breathe air to live.
I like the idea of them going through the cabinets in their kitchen and they're like stereotypically feminine, maybe like a jasmine tea or something. Not that that's really that feminine, but you know what I mean? Like stuff that the
types of foods that people associate with like women eating.
Yeah.
In like pop culture or whatever.
Yeah. And it's like the husband has to come in and be like, actually, that's mine. And it's so apparent that it's not. And they have like this pre-arranged dance where he has to like jump in front of the train for her every time.
He's like, yeah, I love prawn salads.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's actually my tofu crudité board.
That's like a sketch. That's a comedy sketch.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Wiley Brooks' approach is distinctly less stringent. When challenged on his own cheeseburger inclinations, he argued that only food imbued with a fifth-dimensional frequency could bridge the cosmic gap for a true Breatharian on Earth. And if that frequency happened to reside solely in fast food franchises, well, so be it. In fact, he later revealed that he chose those specific foods in the particular combination because they were free from radioactivity. This guy is just like, he's the most hardcore riffing.
Oh, yeah. He's just out here.
Anybody has ever riffed.
He's just out here being like, I don't know, there's gods, fifth dimension, radioactivity, aliens, I don't fucking know. Did you know you don't have to breathe? Fuck it, let's go to the Burger King. Did you know if you become a king of this dimension, you have to eat Burger King once a day. But also don't eat because that's how you get the prana for the life force. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, why do you eat cheeseburgers? It's like, oh, because some foods have the fifth dimensional aura to them. And it just so happens that Burger King does.
Dude, I'm going to be a king for a day. I'm going to have Burger King, and I'm going to be the king of this dimension. I don't know that you are.
The Burger King is the actual king of the universe. You not understand that?
Yeah, do you not understand that?
It's so funny. It's so fucking funny. It's like getting caught with whippets during shop class and claiming that aerosol in that sock prevents the sawdust from entering your lungs. All this, of course, seems like common sense, that nobody would buy into this garbage. But we see time and time again throughout our history, and unfortunately modern times, people are dumb sometimes. If there's one thing Jasmuheen and Brooks understand, it's the appeal of a good sales pitch. Jasmuheen's books and seminars aren't just guides to celestial living. They are portals to a world of pranic mystery, each page promising a glimpse of hidden cosmic knowledge. If people doubted her claims, she remained unmoved. After all, if a person fails to sustain themselves on air, the problem is surely with their spiritual technique, not with the diet. Unless it's her, in which case it is somebody else's fault that she almost fucking died by not eating on camera.
I just love the ambition of that, though. Like, you're like, I've swindled all these people, I've made all this money, I've hosted all these, like, retreats, and I've got my big moment.
I think I can do it.
I think I can fucking do it.
I think I can not eat.
Like, I really think, I know I've been eating in secret for, like, the last 30-something years of my life, but, like, I think I'm right. I think I don't have to eat. And then she shows up, and she's just like, fuck, I'm hungry.
I also wonder, like, I think I know what your answer is going to be, but like, I don't think it's necessarily as cut and dry, because I think from person to person, there's people who are these like genuine malevolent grifters, and then there's people who are just like fucking crazy.
Wiley Brooks is obviously mentally ill.
Yeah, and the question is like, when Jasmuheen is like holed up in her secret skiff, is that what they're called? Those like rooms in people's houses where
her snack panic room.
Yeah. When she's holed up in there.
Snack room.
When she's holed up in there, like eating like Pop-Tarts or whatever.
I literally was going to say Pop-Tarts.
Is she like, I'm fucking fooling all these people. I'm grifting these people for all their worth. And I know I'm a liar and I'm fucking eating Pop-Tarts right now. Or is she like, in that moment, she genuinely believes that she's a Breatharian that does not need to eat to live. And she's like, every Pop-Tart, she rationalizes why she's eating it. Like, oh, I'm just eating this Pop-Tart because I haven't meditated today and my spiritual energy chi is like low. So I've become, further away from the universe. And so I need to eat now. And then like the next Pop-Tart she eats is like, oh, I'm just eating this Pop-Tart because, I walked through a power, a field of power lines and they altered my chi. Like, is she doing that? Is she like rationalizing every bite she takes of food and really believes this?
I think it depends on the person, right? Like, I think with Wiley Brooks, he's mentally ill and also knows that it's wrong. I think those two things can be true. With her, I think the vibe I get is that at one point it started as grifter and then moved into the more like she's now fully in it. She believes it. She's like, you know, she's lied so much that she's now lying to herself.
Yeah, it's like you manufacture reality. Like when you say something long enough and people actually believe you, then you're like, maybe I am right.
Yeah.
Like Sophia Stewart. It's like she knows she didn't fucking write The Matrix.
Yeah.
But then she started saying it, and then people are like, did you know that this girl wrote The Matrix? And she's like, maybe I did write The Matrix. All these people are believing me.
Yeah. And also, again, mentally ill.
Yeah. Brooks took this a step further. At one point, he offered to teach disciples the true way of Breatharianism for a fee of $10,000. For this price, Brooks promised a kind of personal download of cosmic information that would free them from the chains of mere food. Critics might call this a scam, but one can't deny the audacity of a man willing to charge so much for the privilege of not eating. Indeed, Wiley Brooks turned Breatharianism into a premium product, available only to those willing to put both their trust and their credit card details into his hands. That sounds like a joke from the Stefan desk pieces from SNL, the character that Bill Hader played, where he was like a gay club guy, and he would go in and basically like tell Seth Meyers about all the latest like clubs, and they would just be increasingly ridiculous, where it's like, and this sounds like one of those jokes where he's like the hottest club in New York City right now is the Breatharian temple, where you go in, you give them $10,000, and then you don't eat and leave. Like that sounds like a Stefan joke.
It does. Yeah, it really does.
And look, the obvious connection here is Scientology. That pay-to-pray video game loot crate approach to faith, but this is not necessarily new or dependent on those modern hucksters. There's no need to lambast faith or organize religion, but bear in mind, tithes were a thing long before Hubbard or Jasmuheen and Brooks came along. And yet, neither of these figures was ever short on willing followers. Jasmuheen attracted a devoted international audience, many of whom were enamored by the idea of an all-encompassing cosmic diet. Her workshops and retreats became places where, for a few blissful days, one could imagine the burdens of grocery lists and meal planning in favor of transcendental meditations and light breathing exercises. Of course, these retreats also came with catered meals on standby, just in case it was cloudy maybe, or that a heavy smog blew through. Also, another thing to think about is like, if these people really were like altruistic thought leaders trying to like teach people about the ways of Breatharianism, the idea that like you can subsist on the energy of the universe, wouldn't they like use their knowledge and skills for like a greater good, like solving world hunger? Like instead of like charging like random fucking rich yuppies $10,000 to learn how to not eat, wouldn't they like go to like impoverished areas of the country and like teach all the starving children how to not like,
even just out of the cynical like, you do that in order to then come back to the rich areas and point to a data set and say, look, I helped all these kids in Namibia like survive with no food.
But they don't, because it's
not real.
Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, it's not real. Yeah.
And they know it.
Yeah.
Wiley Brooks, meanwhile, leaned into the elite nature of the commerce of Breatharian. For a while, there was a $10,000 bottle of water on the site that insisted folks not buy because their bodies couldn't handle the raw energy of it. Instead, he suggested you buy the whole course so your body became ready. In a strange way, it worked. People believed him, or at least wanted to believe. As much as people want to believe, they more so want to know they believe better than their fellow man.
Ain't that the truth?
I also like that he did like the thing from Space Jam at the end whenever Michael Jordan tells them that he has like a bottle of like talent juice or whatever. And they drink it and they play. And at the end, he's like, that was just water. You guys just played for real. Like he's like
the Dumbo.
Yeah. You can drink this bottle of magical water to gain your ability to not eat, but it's $10,000, or take my class and learn it.
Yeah.
The natural way.
Yeah. You just got to pay me $1,500.
Yeah. So silly. So fucking silly. It's so funny because when we did the QAnon episodes, when we did the QAnon series, and
did you see that somebody posted the other day in one of the groups talking about how they were re-listening to the QAnon thing, and multiple people were talking about how they also were re-listening to the QAnon series?
Yeah, there's one particular listener who said he's listened to it 12 times.
That is wild. They
don't call me the king for nothing, baby.
Do they? I thought they call you Papa Pricey.
They don't call me the Papa for nothing, baby.
Yeah, that's wild. I never want to listen to them again. That was so hard to get through. For me, I was like dying. I was like, this kills my soul. Because maybe that was just the context. Maybe if I went back and listened to it now, it would feel different. But at that 2020 like peak QAnon craziness, it was so bleak because it was such a mirror to the pointlessness of the human experiment. Yeah. Where it's just like, oh, we're going to be torn down from within by these jackals.
Well, to a certain extent, I agree with you completely, because that was the whole point of that series, was like I was like unhealthily obsessed with that. Like I look back on like some of the stuff I was posting on like Facebook and Twitter in 2020, and I was like this was becoming a problem. Like I was going down a rabbit hole that was not good for me, and I just was like, I was consumed with the way that like misinformation and like lies were just becoming like adopted by like mainstream society. And I would get into like these long arguments with people on the internet.
I remember saying to you, like, what are you doing? You're not going to change their mind.
And I was just like, if I just have the patience, I can show this person the right thing.
I remember this vividly. And do you remember I even called you once and I was just like, bro, what is this?
Yeah. And the whole point of the QAnon series was like getting it out of my system. And it worked. Like I did that QAnon series and I left it.
Good.
Like
good.
I stopped. I completely left it all behind. I was like, this is out of my system. I'm no longer. And it was like this symbolic thing where at the end of it, I was like, QAnon is dead. It's over, which I still agree with.
Now we have Blueanon.
Yeah. And I was able to metaphorically put it down and be like, I'm no longer going to be consumed by this. And, you know, I created a rule for myself where if I ever like respond to somebody on the internet, I only give myself like one response, and then that's my limit. I will not respond beyond that. Sometimes I break that when I'm trying to like boost up my engagement on a video or whatever. But it's the rule. So to a certain degree, I'm like 100%, I'm on the same page. Like I did that literally so I could leave it behind. I'm kind of at a place now where I think I could finally re-listen to it. And I'm not as like, it doesn't feel as much like this like burden that I was able to shed. I feel like I can now go back and listen to it and kind of like appreciate it as like a outside observer a little bit.
I never want to do it again. That being said, we should do an episode on Blueanon because that shit is so stupid. It just shows you how prone we all are to that level of disinformation and bizarre, conspiratorial thought. Like it's not a conservative or a liberal thing or a progressive thing or a libertarian thing. Like it's a human thing.
Yeah, it's a human thing. Like first and foremost, that's like the big component of it is like anybody is susceptible to this type of thinking and getting caught in these conspiratorial patterns of thinking. The second thing of it is like, particularly, I think like liberals or like left-leaning people are like almost more susceptible to it because they think that they're smarter.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, like falling for misinformation is just like a thing that like idiot Republicans do. And then they don't even realize it's like you're getting got and you don't even know because you think that you're smarter. And then the third part of it though is that I think that QAnon ushered in and mainstreamed that way of thinking about things to everybody. I think I kind of talked about that in the show, yeah. This idea that it like, it brought that into the mainstream. But I think probably most people assume that just meant like for conservatives. I think it brought it to everybody. It mainstreamed this very conspiratorial way of thinking about the world. And now everybody just thinks like that, which is like really fucked up and scary.
Well, and it's also this weird thing, too, of like, does it really matter if the conspiracy theory is true or not if the terminus of the logic is a violent overthrow of the government? No, it doesn't, because it has the same end point either way, which is the scary thing that everybody's really, kind of reacting to is like, we don't want to have another one of those things again. And, I'm not advocating for any of those things, but I understand the frustration on every side of this equation where people feel like they're being lied to and like things aren't on a level playing field, which are we being lied to? About some stuff, yeah. Like we just are. But also, I don't know that it's as extreme as some of these conspiracies really.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not as extreme, but also on the other hand, the lack of transparency, breeds that kind of paranoid thinking. It's like, if you break it down to just a very basic human level, if you say to somebody like, hey, we need to talk, I'll call you in 3 hours, that person's going to spin off out of their mind thinking like, what's going on? Are they breaking up with me? Are they mad at me about something? you're going to sit there and like start coming up with all these paranoid delusions of like the horrible shit that they want to talk to you about. And they get on the phone and then they're just like, yeah, I was just wondering what we wanted to have for dinner tonight. And it's like that lack of transparency and communication. If you're just like, hey, I wanted to talk about what we're going to have for dinner later. I'll call you in a couple hours. Problem solved. And you break that out into the macro, the across the board lack of transparency that our world has sort of become, where everything feels like it's just behind some sort of opaqueness. Naturally, everybody's going to start becoming fucking paranoid and thinking all these crazy conspiracies and shit. It's just a natural byproduct.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of natural byproduct,
we do an act break plug every time that a segue comes up. It's like that like B movie, but every time somebody says B, it gets 10 times faster. It's just that. We just do a plug every time there's like a natural segue. In recent years, the Breatharian movement has taken something of a hit, largely due to inconvenient revelations about the human body's absolute need for sustenance. And yet, the cult endures. For every debunking, every failed experiment, and every cheeseburger relapse, there emerges a new wave of Breatharian aspirants who are ready to carry the torch. Although similar to Soylent, I kind of feel like there's probably just a very limited pool of people who would want to be in this cult, because it's like, who wants to stop eating? I mean, like I said, people who are starving and can't afford food, but then why aren't they helping those people? You know, but the people who have the money, why the fuck would they want to stop eating? There's not even, I think there's no logic to that.
Yeah, I think the idea too for some of this too is that like there's like weird immortality coding in a lot of it, where it's like you stop eating, you live off the energy of the universe, and you don't die.
Yeah.
So there's
that's the thing. It's like not wanting to die.
But it's less,
especially for rich people.
It's more subtle though than some other conspiracies or cults where it's just like immortality in the next life. This one is like you'll stop aging, you'll feel better, you know, you don't need to eat, you can live off of the, you know, pranic energy of the universe, and also maybe if you're really good, you won't fucking kick the bucket, baby. Yeah.
Are you eating a cheeseburger?
Yeah, yes, I'm eating a cheeseburger in my personal home kitchen. It's my panic room.
Hey, Vice, I'm ready for this interview. Cheeseburger in paradise. They're drawn to the promise of a life without food, of reaching a state where they can transcend the body's demands and live as creatures of pure energy. Never mind that countless attempts to prove the viability of this lifestyle have resulted in something closer to a hospital bill than enlightenment. But an increase in online courses have brought this cult back to the forefront. That sort of easy to franchise outline of don't eat, and if you fail, it's because you didn't eat or you didn't believe or whatever. Jasmuheen, ever the optimist, continues to defend her beliefs. She has recently taken to framing Breatharianism as kind of a spiritual ideal, one that may not be achievable for everyone but remains a worthy goal. Wiley Brooks, on the other hand, remains somewhat enigmatic in his recent years, rumored to be traversing dimensions, perhaps in search of a celestial happy meal. His teachings live on, circulating in esoteric forums and conspiratorial circles, where a new generation of Breatharian hopefuls seek his cosmic wisdom. If I was gonna become like a cult leader, weird grifter guy, like this is the vibe I would want to do. This is the vibe. Like I'm not really interested in that like God complex, Jim Jones type vibe where I want like everyone to think that I'm like this like leader of men and like creating like the harems of women, you know, that I can like freely have sex with and all that stuff. Like that's not really my vibe. If I was going to become a cult leader, I would want to be the cult leader that's like calling people on the phone and being like, hey, I'm traversing the 5th dimension right now. And like constantly just like,
what's it like?
Leaving weird breadcrumbs, or I'm just like texting someone like, I'm on Venus. like that's what I would want to do.
Yeah. I mean, the good thing is that's doable. There's really no
yeah, especially with green screen technology.
Yeah,
imagine if I just you just got a FaceTime call from me one day and I'm just like flying through a freaking black hole and I'm just like, Dave,
5th dimension, baby,
I reached the event horizon, Sam Neill is here,
motherfucking Happy Meals for everybody.
That's the cult leader I want to be. And what ultimately are we to make of these two pioneers of the Breatharian lifestyle? For all their eccentricities, they serve as reminders of a very human desire, the quest for transcendence, however misguided, and the longing to break free from the earthly bonds of hunger, thirst, and the occasional craving for fries. In the end, their legacy may not lie in the realm of nutrition or cosmic energy, but in the simple, stubborn faith they embody. Perhaps Jasmuheen and Brooks were right in one respect, that there's more to life than food, but it's also a comforting thought that, should enlightenment prove elusive, a cheeseburger, a double quarter pounder with cheese and a Diet Coke, is always within reach. That's kind of like, I feel like this cult is actually like right up your alley though.
What do you mean? Because
you don't like to eat.
Yeah, well, that's why I wanted to do this episode, because I wanted to tell you, today's my official coming out.
Oh, shit.
I am a Breatharian.
Oh, man, you're living your truth right in front of us.
Right in front of you all. Yeah. Watch this. Full.
You got a little fatter.
Hey now. Let's not body shame me. That's the pranic love energy of the universe.
That seems like it's like a Jack Black movie.
Yeah.
Where it's like
he
becomes a Breatharian, but then he just gets really fat. And he's just like, oh, I've been eating too much air.
It starts off with weird CGI skinny Jack Black.
Yeah.
And everyone has reactions to the trailers where they're like, ew, I don't want skinny Jack Black. And then they like CGI the CGI and they re-release the movie. Like they redo the movie like the week.
The Sonic.
The Sonic. Yeah, they do it like the week before the movie comes out. So he's like marginally chubby Jack Black, which still doesn't look right. Yeah. They should have never cast Jack Black as Wiley Brooks.
Yeah. For more than one reason.
I love the Breatharians. I think it's so funny and weird. And I think it kind of, to me, it's more interesting than some of the other cults that we've covered on the show, only because it's so low stakes. Like the thing that's so fascinating about it is that it doesn't really affect anyone other than the people who are being swindled out of the money. But like as a individual cult kind of ethos, you're really just like in secret and pretend you don't eat in public. Like that's the thing.
It's just kind of funny.
Yeah.
And like you don't really even have like, there's not really any kind of like sympathy or empathy element to it, because it's like any of the people who, it's like, first of all, it's probably really hard to intentionally starve yourself. So like you can't imagine like,
speak for yourself.
Even the people who are just like the only thing I can really imagine is that there might be the very niche cross section of somebody who is anorexic, who like gets roped into Breatharianism, and that could just really exacerbate their condition. That's like the one little slice where I say like that could be a problem. But other than somebody with like pre-existing medical/mental health issues, it's like, number one, it's probably just really hard to starve yourself, so it doesn't feel like it's much of a danger. Whereas like anybody who joins Breatharianism and they try to like not eat for like 2 days, they're probably just gonna fucking eat. They're probably gonna be like, I'm fucking hungry, give me that fucking
quarter pounder with
cheese. And then even then it's like, I don't know, if you're fucking dumb enough to be like, I'm going to join this group that says you don't have to eat and you can breathe as food, I kind of don't have, I don't have much space in my body to sympathize.
Well, especially too, when the lead person has been publicly outed multiple times. Like, it's easy to look at Wiley Brooks and be like, okay, he's mentally ill. Jasmine,
there's like video footage of her withering away.
There's literal like time lapses of her turning into like a Dawn of the Dead zombie.
There's a time lapse of the cautionary tale of what happens when you don't eat.
Yeah.
That she created for you. She created like her own agit.
And they were two chances. They were like, we're gonna set you up with an apartment. Oh, I can't do it in the city. It's the public fucking air. It's too polluted. We're gonna take you way the fuck out in the middle of nowhere and we're gonna do it. Doctor comes in. She's dying. Do you want to be sued? Nope. You lost. It's done.
Yeah. Nobody has ever failed that hard, that public.
Yeah.
And yet she's like still
love it.
Doing it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Well, on that note, I'm Dave Baker.
And I'm Andrew Price.
This has been Deep Cuts. If you'd like to find me on the internet, you can do so at heydavebaker.com. You can also find my book, Mary Tyler Moorhawk, wherever books are sold. Andrew, where can people find you on the internet?
You can go to my website, dapricewrites.com, and pick up my book, Deadbolt AI Private Eye, which is a comic about a robot detective solving crimes in the future. It's kind of a cross between a Raymond Chandler, Dashiell Hammett novel, like a Philip K. Dick story, and like a Blade Runner type aesthetic. You can follow us on social media by going to Facebook and searching Deep Cuts Podcast. You can join our Facebook group by searching the Deep Cuts Podcast Facebook group, where we have a cool community of people who talk about the show, make memes, other fun stuff. You can join our Discord server, bit.ly.com/DeepCutsDiscord, where we all also have another community of people who talk about the show, make memes, play games, other things. You can follow us on Instagram at Deep Cuts Pod. You can follow us on TikTok at Mystery Treehouse. You can go to our website, deepcutspod.com, and pick up some merch like hats, shirts, fanny packs, coffee mugs, so on and so forth. And you can follow me on TikTok at Dead Boy Detective. Deep Cuts is a production by Boy Genius Media. If you'd like to find this show and others like it, please visit boygeniusmedia.com or deepcutspod.com.
If you want to join in on post-episode discussions, please join the Deep Cuts Podcast Facebook group. Finally, subscribe to our YouTube channel for additional video content.
The incidental music for this episode was created by D. Catalano, whose music can be found at wekeepoddhours.bandcamp.com. This episode of Deep Cuts was written by guest writer Adam Smith.